Hey, what is up, YouTube? Major G. I know it's been a while since I last posted, but this past week has been crazy. First off, I went back east for a weekend for my parents' anniversary, and then one of the guys with one of my coworkers actually switched positions, so we are kind of down a man, and so I've been working a bunch of hours, like a bunch of double shifts, and getting up like super early in the morning and all this stuff. And it didn't help that when I drove back, I basically drove from Vegas all night back here, and then got here just in time to go to work 15 minutes later. So, I mean, I've been pretty tired for a good number of days. But anyway, here we go. I am going to be reacting to Honest Trailers, because Honest Trailers just came out with the brand new Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Honest Trailers. So, unlike most people, well, I don't know, because it was pretty split down the middle. I actually liked the movie. I got what was going on throughout it. I picked up most of the cues that were in it, and I liked it, but I'm not going to say that I loved it. I don't even really compare it to Marvel movies, because they're going in two different directions, to be honest. Because I feel that DC Comics have always been on the darker side, whereas Marvel Comics have usually been on the lighter side. Even when you have comics that started out with kind of a darker that started out a bit that have kind of like a darker subplot or whatever, kind of like X-Men. X-Men is all about civil rights, so even that was still kind of lighthearted, relatively. Whereas DC Comics have generally been pretty dark, because they the main characters mostly came out, or the main two, Batman and Superman, came out in the 30s, and that was all film noir kind of thing, and like Superman and Batman used to like kill people and all this stuff. So, it's what we think. Yeah, and then they got lighter in like the 50s and 60s, which was the Golden Age, I believe. That was a Silver Age. That was the Silver Age, I believe, in comics. And they got kind of lighter then, and that's where you had all the Batman jokes and Adam West and all that stuff. But, so anyway, I actually kind of liked the movie because it was a darker movie, and it also showed different sides it showed what I felt was a decent hypothetical point between Superman and Batman within this whole Man of Steel world, or universe. Man of Steel universe? Yeah, we'll go with that. So I was pretty much okay with it. It did have its holes, but I definitely would attribute at least part of that to the fact that they're trying to condense so much into just like a two and a half hour movie or something like that. So yeah, I don't necessarily say it was the best movie ever, but I did like it. And so let's get on with it. Turn on my volume now. Here we go. Alright, here we go. Honest Trailers, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice Honest Trailer. Let's go.
From Zack Snyder and his accurately named production company comes the blockbuster that united the world's two biggest superheroes and divided everyone else.
Yes.
Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Get ready for the battle of the century between critics and fans. It had the movie's most rabid supporters sending out death threats, while its harshest critics refused to admit that anything about it was cool.
Yeah.
Even though you'd be lying if you thought this wasn't awesome.
Right? That was straight out of Arkham City,
and
dude.
This wasn't ridiculous.
Save Martha! Why did you say that name?
Warner Brothers.
I get what they were
for a
trying to do,
mega
though.
hit to keep pace
But
with
it
the
was- yeah.
MCU. Now,
Presentation
they're
wasn't
burying
all
a
that
screenwriter who once said, Batman vs. Superman is where you go when you admit to yourself you've exhausted all possibilities. And a director who once said, Batman could get raped in prison. That could happen in my movie? Really strange choices in retrospect.
What?
You were promised the dawn of the Justice League, and they delivered an email attachment. As the DC Extended Universe kicks off with a folder of low-res QuickTime videos. Who designed the logos? Leaving audiences with a cool new Batman movie. Trapped inside a boring, convoluted Superman sequel. Trapped inside whatever cartoon Lex Luthor is from.
Alert! Ahoy, ahoy! And I am... no, whatever. I wrote this.
The Man of Steel you know and fear has returned. And even he's not sold on the whole Superman gig.
Superman was never real.
Witness the hero who once stood for truth, justice, and the American way. Stand for brooding, moping, and wondering why he even bothers.
Good
As the
boy!
film's main
Good boy, he
character
does
has
do
nothing to
that!
But silently look constipated, get horrible pep talks from his parents,
Be anything they need you to be, or be none of it.
suck at his job,
Who's that?
and
Yeah,
refuse
that
to
was-
fight
yeah, that's
back
bad.
against his toughest opponent yet, cable news.
Was involved in the planning of this
Cable
attack.
news.
Not a hero.
Must there be a Superman?
Stop scallying, book an interview, smile, go to carpool
Superman
karaoke,
does
sing the
brood,
Five
though.
Fighting
Like,
song.
come on.
I'm more than a bird. I'm more than a plane.
Ah!
Oh my god, he's still a beefcake. Those abs are so good, you won't even notice how fake those eggs are. Watch
Yeah,
Zack
wow,
Snyder
I
prove once and
noticed
for all
that.
that
I
the
noticed
hero
how
he
fake
really
they were.
wanted to make movies about is this guy. Or at least his weird murdery fanfic version. Ben
Woo!
Affleck shines as Batman, who's one part CrossFit bro, one part Superman, one part Tony Stark, one part Arkham video game, and one part actual bat?
I told you that was Arkham Knight.
Thrill while the world's greatest detective finally gets to do some actual detective work. As
Yeah,
the
that's
action
true.
we all assumed would be the worst part of this movie is by far the best part of this movie.
Tell me, do you bleed?
Also, everything Wonder Woman did was really cool.
Yeah.
Sorry if that seems kind of tacked on in
Yeah.
place, but you know.
Yeah,
so
she was actually pretty
With
awesome.
you? I thought she was with you.
Of course she's with you. You sent her an email like half an hour ago, remember? Watch The Dark Knight grow to hate Superman for clear, obvious reasons, while Superman grows to hate Batman back because Lex Luthor hired someone to kill a criminal Batman, Brandon, before he put him in prison, so that when Clark Kent refused to cover the local football team and investigated the Gotham Vigilante instead, he would conclude that... Look, I don't have time to explain the whole thing. Can we just roll Lex's plan real quick? Okay, let's see here. Okay, right.
Find out who-
CIA. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, I don't even remember that part. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, step 9A. Yeah, I forgot about that part. Pee in a jar.
Pee in a jar, yeah.
Man, this is complicated. You don't have to throw everything but the kitchen sink into your evil plan. And there's the sink. You've been waiting since you were a kid to see these two icons go toe to toe. Well, keep waiting for 2 fucking hours through 3 congressional hearings.
Let me say at the outset
That was an
I'm grateful
awesome
to our
scene.
witness.
So
It was wrong,
much
but it was awesome scene.
journalism
Why aren't we covering this?
and a semester's worth of intro to philosophy lectures
God is all powerful. Cannot be argued.
to finally get the awesome fight you were promised in the title. That ends after just 8 minutes because their moms have the same name.
It was more than that.
Martha.
It was
I
just
know
poor
Batman's hung up on his dead
presentation.
parents, but come on.
He has the power to wipe out the entire human race, and if we believe there's even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, we have to take it as an absolute certainty.
Having a mom changes none of that motivation, no matter what her name is. You can write all the essays you want, convincing yourself this was brilliant. Then again, dumb is a one-syllable word that covers it pretty well. So suit up for a film that was so highly anticipated, it could never have lived up to the hype, that had to deliver the fight fans have wanted to see on the big screen for decades, address the controversy around Man of Steel, make enough money to compete with Marvel, be a sequel to Man of Steel, and a Batman solo movie, pander to Jar of P enthusiasts, form the Justice League, introduce Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman, Cyborg, Lex Luthor, Parademons, Doomsday, Steppenwolf, the death of Superman? Whose idea was it to cram all this into one movie? They just burned through like 6 movies worth of good material.
Yeah.
But at least Suicide Squad looks pretty cool though, right? Starring Batfleck Forever, Last Son of Crap Dog, Lady in the Water, Jeremy's Iron, Hector Salamanca, Teenage Mutant Abomination,
he was in
Lord of
that?
the Rings Cave Troll,
Oh, jeez.
Max Landis, worst
Oh,
product
shoot.
placement ever.
Max
What the hell is
Landis.
even happening here? I had to ask like 10 hardcore DC fans, and even some of them didn't know.
Yeah.
Cena, Warrior
Warrior
cameo.
cameo.
A Democratic senator from Kentucky? Sure, why not? Tonight, a comedian died in Gotham. Martha Wayne
Wow.
and Martha Kent. Oh, now I get it. Nope, still dumb. Fans v. Batman v. Superman. V. Critics v. other fans. Executives v. Zack
Oh
Snyder
my
v.
God.
Expectations. Can't do them all justice.
How come Dad never lets Kansas?
You let him die in a tornado, remember?
Come
Wish this
on!
honest trailer was even
No!
longer? Well, then click the box on the left to watch
No,
the
it
Batman v
really
Superman
wasn't
Honest
that
Trailer
simple.
Ultimate Edition,
Ah!
which is even longer than the fight between Batman and Superman. It's uncut and uncensored, filled with even more jokes and rants we tacked on to get you to watch it twice, just like BBS did. And don't forget, starting this Thursday, we will be broadcasting live from San Diego Comic-Con for Screen Junkies Central, featuring celebrity editions of all your favorite SJ
Oh my
shows
God.
that you truly will not want to miss. So click the box on the right to register and watch for free. In Mother Russia, Pokemon catches you. Pokemon Go is Skynet. You rusty potato, I will stab you with a moldy spoon. I am Sporadicus. Prepare to suckle from the teat of defeat.
Wow. That's actually kind of cool. Ah! Ah! Yeah, like I said, I agree that Batman v Superman had its holes. Like the part where they were talking about where it's like it combines like 6 different movies into one thing. Yeah, like I said at the beginning, absolutely. There was so much material that they tried to condense into one movie, and I think that was the main issue. That was what it really suffered from. Was all of the condensing, they had enough material there for like 2 or 3 movies at least, and they just tried to condense it all into one movie. They couldn't be patient with it like Marvel was. That's one thing I gotta definitely give credit to Marvel for, is that they've been patient with all their stuff, and they were like they would like put a breadcrumb here and then put a breadcrumb there and put a breadcrumb there, so that you're just kind of following, and then all of a sudden it leads to the gingerbread house, which was the Avengers, and it was awesome. It just came out awesome. So that it made it that much better because you follow the breadcrumbs there. Whereas with Batman v Superman, they just threw in way too much stuff. Like that whole Flash thing, I didn't even know what that was until my friend was telling me, like, I didn't even know that was the Flash, to be honest. Like, I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, that was the Flash. I'm like, really? What, it was? Really? But yeah, so that was the main issue. Oh my God. Man of Steel may have had some holes, but none of it was the stuff that most people complain of, which was the destruction, which was the fact that he let his dad die, which was the fact that, yeah, those main 2 things. None of it had anything to do with any of those, and with Batman v Superman, the Martha thing, like, it's there. Like, seriously, there's a whole meaning behind it. The presentation was poor. But there was a whole big thing behind it, which was that this entire time, Batman was seeing, he was with Lex Luthor. And by the way, they did another thing I have to complain about is they did a very poor job of establishing that was Alexander Luthor, who is basically Lex Luthor Jr., as opposed to Lex Luthor. So I'm looking. So I liked his presentation. I like Jesse Eisenberg. I think he does a decent job, and I didn't really understand where he was going with it because it wasn't really like a Lex Luthor that I knew and was familiar with. And that was because he was Lex Luthor Jr. And they did a very, very poor job of establishing that. It was very confusing. Same thing with Jimmy. Like, they just kind of threw Jimmy Olsen in there. I was like, well, wait. If I remember correctly, they didn't even really say his name. It was just that he had a camera. So I was like, oh, he's got a camera. That's Jimmy Olsen. Like, at the beginning of the movie, I noticed that, like, right away. I saw he had a camera, like, oh, that's Jimmy Olsen. And he's like, I'm in the CIA. And it's like, no, that's not Jimmy Olsen. But it turns out that it was Jimmy Olsen. But it's like, what? Really? Yeah. And then, where else was I going with this? Oh my god. Oh, Martha, right. So the whole thing with the Martha thing was that Batman was seeing Superman as this, he was with Lex Luthor, or he was with Alexander Luthor, and they both saw Superman as this invader. There we go. That's the best way to put it. They saw him as this kind of invader who was imposing his will and all this stuff. He was imposing his will upon people, kind of. And, oh, that's what it was. And it didn't really help that he was staying away from the public eye. Like, he would do this stuff, like, all in the shadows. So it didn't really help that in that context, that they didn't really, that they saw him as this kind of invader, this all-powerful invader, and that he was dangerous, and they didn't know what his motives were, and this is why Batman didn't like him. And so especially with the whole Metropolis thing, Batman was on board with a bunch of other people because he didn't actually see the entire battle. He just saw what was going on, he didn't see Zod. He didn't see Zod screaming, "I will kill everybody!" I will kill this precious human race which you love so much. And Zod basically did say that in the first one, so I don't care what anybody says. Superman could not take it outside of the city because Zod said he was going to kill everybody. So Batman didn't actually see all of that. Bruce Wayne never actually saw all of that. All he saw was Superman, throwing him into buildings. Zod was the main one who was actually throwing people into buildings. But he just saw, Superman kind of going through a couple of buildings. He saw the laser eyes and all that stuff, and he just assumed it was Superman. And also, keep in mind the fact that he didn't realize that Superman did not have full control of his powers at that point, which a lot of people forget from the first movie. In Man of Steel, literally a couple hours after he first discovers the full extent of his powers, Zod comes up and says, "Hey, turn over Kal-El or else," and he's got to go fight him. So he didn't even have full control over his powers because his parents had been telling him to hide his powers, which was why he didn't go and save his dad in the tornado. He didn't just sit there and let it. It's not like he could have done it. He didn't know what he could do. He had no idea what he could do because his dad kept making him hide. And there's a really good comic that kind of talks about that kind of thing, where like a what if he had never actually really fully never really understood what the full extent of his powers. And it's actually a comedy, and if I remember correctly, I think it was written by John Cleese. But look for Superman True Brit, which is an Elseworld story where Superman falls in like it's somewhere in England, and his parents make him hide his abilities, so he never uses them. And by the time he's an adult, and he's like, well, I think I could do stuff to help people. All he does is cause destruction because he has no idea what he can do. So yeah, that first Man of Steel battle with Zod, he didn't know the full extent of his powers. Like, he was discovering them just as Zod was. Like, he literally just learned how to fly before Zod told everybody to turn him over. Like, come on, guys. It's like people weren't even watching it. They were just ready to start complaining. So anyway, yeah, so Batman didn't know this. Bruce Wayne had no idea of this, so he didn't know about that. He didn't know, that Superman didn't really understand the full extent of his powers. He didn't know that Zod had said, "I'm gonna kill everybody, Kal-El." He had no idea of that. So yeah, he would be bad at Superman because he thinks Superman's part of the cause of all this destruction. So when they finally fight, the whole thing is, and by the way, this is also something I will admit to as well. I will admit that there's kind of a plot hole there, which is that Superman, or Clark Kent develops a hatred for Batman because Batman is just going around like branding people and torturing people and all this stuff, and he doesn't think people should be tortured and all that. Yeah, he developed, and yeah, that was kind of a plot hole in itself. Like they said, the whole Superman not liking Batman thing, that was kind of flimsy. And so Batman, yeah. So by the time the fight rolls around with Batman, when Superman's on his last legs, and like Lois Lane is protecting him, and he says, "Martha, Martha," that's Batman. That's Batman's like wake up call to, wait a second, this isn't just some godlike being or something. He's just a guy. And the fog kind of clears, like the red kind of clears from his eyesight, like all the red of rage just kind of starts to kind of dissipate, and he starts actually thinking a little bit more clearly about what this guy has been doing. And he's like, yeah, it's like he's just a man. He has been, I don't like what he's been doing, but he's been basically helping people. So he kind of realized this is not just some god, it's a man too. Like that's what kind of woke him up. Like he was like, wait, why are you calling my mom's name? Because Martha's a rare name. Why are you calling my mom's name? It's like, and Lois is like, no, it's his mother. And so that's kind of like a realization for him. Like it's like, he has. I guess he does have a mother, doesn't he? So it's kind of he's. And if he's doing this to save her, maybe, he's not really the guy or the monster that I thought he was. So, I mean, yeah, the intention was there. The intention was absolutely there. The presentation of it wasn't all that great, though. And that's what most fans will tell you. The people who liked this movie, who saw that and were like, no, I get what they were trying to do, will probably admit that, yeah, the presentation wasn't so great, but I understood what they were trying to do. There was a lot of complex things thrown at us at one time. So anyway, yeah, that's my little rant. But it was kind of amusing, a little ranty about some of the silly things, mostly Batman, Superman thing. I don't know if it was, I don't think it was as funny as the Daredevil, not Daredevil. It was as funny as the Deadpool one. The Deadpool one is hilarious. But yeah. What'd you guys think? Did you like it? Do you agree with it? I'm sure at least like 50%. I'm probably going to get a bunch of thumbs down because I like the movie and I actually explain, what the problems. I explain that there are problems with it, but the ones that people think are problems aren't actually problems. Because it is actually expressed within the movie. All those things that most people complain about are actually expressed within the movies. There's actually an explanation for them in story. And a decent one, and a decent explanation as for why it went that way. So I'll probably get a few thumbs down for that, I expect. But yeah, what'd you guys think? Let me know. I'm gonna go see Suicide Squad, but I'm not super excited about it. I'm not like Suicide Squad like most people are, I guess. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna go see it. Probably on opening weekend. Definitely within the first week. I'm not exactly sure when though. I'll probably do a review of it. If I can get my buddies together and do a good review, because also part of the reason why I'm not super excited about Suicide Squad is because I don't want to say I'm not a fan of them, because it's not like I've seen them and I hate them or I don't like them. It's just that I'm not super familiar with them. I know of them. I know Amanda Waller. That's pretty much it. And I love the Amanda Waller character. I'm just not really all that familiar, and I like Harley Quinn. Not as much as most people do, but I do like Harley Quinn. Have since the way back when she was first introduced on Batman, the animated series, and even liked her rendition on Birds of Prey. But yeah, so yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. Discuss amongst yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys later. Peace out.